G'day, Brian Smith here again with another boots on the ground business tip. As you realize, they're pretty unconventional business tips, and today is one that I learned probably within the first month of me ever starting the UGG boot business. We discovered, well, let me give you the tip first. It's not how big you are that counts, it's how big you are perceived to be. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I found that out. We were going to advertise in the second ever issue of Action Sports magazine, and we'd only bought a couple of hundred pairs of boots in from Australia, and we hadn't even sold any yet. And so we were down at the offices of Action Sports, and we had a limited budget, and the ad salesman Steve said, okay, well, you can have one issue for $1,500 or two issues for $2,000. And we looked at each other, my partner and I, and we said, we're not nearly big enough to do that. We haven't even started business. And without breaking a stride, Steve just looked at it and said, it's not how big you are, it's how big you are perceived to be that counts. Well, we went ahead and bought 2 full-page ads. He was pretty slick. But the lesson that I learned from that, I used throughout the business and every business deal that I've ever done ever since, because the perception, the number of people I ran into in later years through the UGG business, and as it, it was a very successful business. I got to meet a lot of buyers, and when they found out our actual size, they all, to a man, just said, oh my God, I didn't realize you were that small. I thought you were a really huge company. And it was the act of looking big and being big that gave them the confidence to jump in with us. Another example worked out when we were going to launch a snowboard clothing line into the ski industry, and we were going to call it the UGG snowboard wear. And instead of coming in like a lot of little, new time, first time clothing lines, we decided to come in and make a splash, and we made a big styrofoam snow cave, basically, with a big entrance with a hole in the front of it where you walk through, and all the writing tables were inside. It was so cool. And at that trade show, we, without ever having been there before, wrote over $500,000 worth of business because we looked big, and it was the same show that 4 or 5 clothing lines went out of business because the ski industry was tanking. Snowboarding hasn't quite caught on yet. We were at the front wave of bringing in a new clothing line. And so it just showed me again how big perception counts. Now, for us, it was very difficult. To be seen big, you had to spend a lot of money. You had to do lots of big color ads. Back then, photography was a big deal. Now it's video. It's so cheap. Back then, it was film and processing and editing and cutting. And what I'm trying to say is that today you have an opportunity to look huge. Nobody knows if you're working out of your garage, if you've got a website that looks like $1 million, and it's not expensive to do. If you've got good graphics, a good product, good photography, and all this can be done with all digital stuff now very, very cheaply. And you have the ability now to go out on the website to the entire world and look like $1 million, and no one is going to come and check to see if you're living in a garage. So that's my business tip for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to talking to you again next week.